Yes, and we are officially starting our class. All right, welcome back again. So happy you're here. So happy you find the time. It's summer, everybody traveling, everybody have a good time, family gathering, etc. And still you're here. I'm fascinated. It's pretty amazing for me. And thank you so much for your support. I really adore all of you and absolutely happy to have you here. We will have, I have my camera right now today on our paper. You can see that this is just a paper, right? It's palette paper, and I will want to introduce you to different type of paper palette, which is gray color. Before when we was doing a class, I show you, I was painting most of the time on white. And this one I choose gray just for you, for your observation, for you to learn something new and find your own and play around. Maybe that's gonna work for you as well. Why I choose this palette, gray palette. It's very common. A lot of artists doing it. And if you see online classes, it's very common if you put something paper like that. If you have a studio and set up all together, when you put gray paper below down, put a glass on top of it, and you premix your oil paint on top of the glass, and the glass you can clean up, but have this paint below down, have this paper below down. Why you do that? For one main reason, just to continue exercise the value. And when you think in a value is the key for good painting. So if you have that middle value, so which is gray paper represent, it's gray value, and it's gray color, it's a middle tone, and from there we can go to darker values which represent these colors I have, this value which represent kind of like a middle tone, right? And you can see here the light value, it's my white paint, yellow, light green I have here, and you can see this light value. So this is a way also to exercise your mind to observe different value. And it's just aesthetically point of view. Some people just like gray, and it's helped to work. So what we're gonna do today, what is my plan? We will be painting our second layer on our tiger eye, and we will make it more realistic. We will pre-mix the colors for our work today, but before that, let me show that to you one more time. I had the canvas from last time. That's what we did last time. I didn't touch, since I was teaching you on the very first session. This is how it was since then. It's totally dry. And I do close up for you so you can see those little tiny details. You can see it's pretty rough. A lot of strokes, directions, what we were studying, just pretty rough combination of colors, not enough smoothness, strong contrast, pretty defined colors, you can see. Today we will be working more on the eyelashes, the eyelash line reflection I have done last time bit. You see my black, probably on yours as well, like this black here and here, it almost look like a gray. We will fix it today. And we will be focusing pretty much on the iris and the eye itself to make it realistic. So let me do it close like that. You see, it's pretty rough. We will be starting from the middle, and we will focus on a realistic look of the eye. And if we have enough time, then we also will try to touch up the fur around that. Even we have a one separate class on the fur. So please bring your painting from last time. Put next to you. And right now we will be working on a mixing a paint. me see, is everybody here? Yes, everybody here. Another medium, what we will need today, it's showed that to you before, remember this? It is our liquid. And I will show you a technique today, which is called glazing. You most likely heard it many times. But today you will practice that. Okay, let's start. Right now I have my palette knife in front of me. The colors I have here, it's purple. I like to buy originally sometimes premix colors. That's called Provence blue, but it's almost like a purple plus white generally. That's what I would think it is. And here I have this blue color we was using last time. It's kind of closer to turquoise, or like very much I don't know, cold blue. Here I have our traditional ultramarine. Here, this is my gray. This is my green. I know far away it's hard to see what kind of colors. Okay, that's green. That's I have a dark purple. Here I have my brown traditionally raw umber here, and this is sample of black. On this side, I have green color, which yellow green, I would say like saturated, bright green. I like to use it for the eyes. Here I also have a lemon yellow. Here I have two different type of ochre. This slightly different one, a little bit more on the colder side and more transparent from one company. And this one is thicker. I have a little bit stronger pigment of orange. And here I have this kind of like almost burnt sienna, traditional color, traditional shading of that, and white color here. So we will start with you today with middle tone. I premixed two of them. What I have done here, I used my purple, I used a little bit of gray and white. That's what you see here. This color I was using was I just separate half of this, that mix, and I add more gray, and I add more of this ultramarine blue to get this blue-gray color. When I'm looking at a picture right now, I see I will definitely need a lot of deep dark colors today, and we will make bigger variety of those today. So I will use my dark purple right now, so you can see it better. Dark purple, I use a ultramarine blue, I used my brown. Let's see, this black I have, it's more on a brown side. I will have some of that on the iris around the, yes, and very end and around. Okay, and I have, because I will need very little bit of it, I use half of that to premix next color. I do it a lot if you notice that. I use the same color and add some black to that. So this way I have my dark color. Also, it's look like warm black. And I will use this, and I separate half of that, and I will use a gray, and I will use my ultramarine blue to premix it. And now I have my another black, but this black will be more on a shading of blue and cold black. So I will spread this for you to see, and I will spread this for you to see the difference. Please look at the difference. This one look more cold. This is look more warmer, like especially in the very thin here. You can see have some brownish, and the top one is more like brown. So eventually I have three different blacks, I would say like that, three different dark value, and I will need it. Most likely I will be using also just black on the purple on how it is from the tube. And I see on the bottom of this lid, it's a lot of blue colors exist. You all have images, so you can see that as well. So I use my ultramarine blue right now and gray. If it's actually, if I apply this color very like 2-3 different colors, it will be the same as this black one. They're that much close, but you can see when I'm working, it's look very, very blue. And I want this, I will use some of this and this. Who took my classes before, you know that how important, I always mention that, how important to maintain same harmony of colors, darker, same harmony of colors for your painting. Do not jump too far away. And the color wheel is our friend for that, to see that and to understand that. I know you all want to have your paintings beautifully done technically, but also how color important, so important. And you can see when I premix my colors, when I'm working with my paintings, I use a very limited color palette by following rules of harmony. Okay, now I have this. So what I'm doing right now, I have this color on a palette, right? On a palette knife, and I'm moving closer right now to the picture of the eye, where I have it on the screen, and I check if this color is close. Yes, pretty close. I'm happy, so I can keep it. How is that? All right, now we have all these colors. What I have right now, we will be using pretty much for the skin around and for the highlights and reflections. It's a lot of blue involved. And now I will be moving to the colors which is inside of this iris. For the pupil, I have plenty of black to choose from. Now, when I'm looking on the image, I can see many beautiful colors, and I need a gray green. So I use this color. If you don't have that on YouTube, what you can do, you can mix green, lemon yellow, and white, and you pretty much will get exactly the same thing. I make it simple. I already have it, and I use this, and I use a little bit of gray. A bit too much than I needed. So now you know you can make dark, beautiful green out of it. A bit adding a little bit of gray. And I want to have it lighter. So what I will do, I take half of this, I can use that. And this, and a little bit of more white. I'm gonna have a gray green, but not very, very strong pigment. When we play with our paintings, we always play with lightness and darkness and saturation. Saturation make saturated paint and colors make painting very fully lightened with sun, or it's create a very good contrast when you have a very saturated contrast between one colors with another. If you want to have harmony colors, you using same colors, but you playing with the same color, but by adding gray or brown colors to that, you try to take saturation away, and that help to settle painting to the very, very nice, comforting observation. So I'm looking for my eye right now on the area around the pupil, and I'm trying to find what colors I have over there. I can see some of this gray, and I'm pretty happy with those too. Right now, I see a little bit more of light green coming around below down the pupil. And I think I still can use this a little bit of this purple. And now I'm going down around the iris further away from the pupil, and I see a lot of this. If you see, I didn't clean up the knife from green, because I want still to have some green in there. So it's green, with ochre together. So it's a little bit dull, also less saturated than I have on a tube. So I make it a little bit more on a grayish side by adding this green to it. And I'm looking for another color which will be also involve this, and I add a little bit more. I'll show that to you, and I add a little bit more of purple in there. So which give me a shading of brown. You see that it's almost it's a warm brown. Look. Yes. Set up this, it's gonna be better. Okay, move it a little bit so you can see it. Yes, that would be better. More purple, and I add dark purple. Yes, now I like it. So this color I definitely can use for the darker and further away from the pupil, the iris. So now I have variety of words. So yeah, you see here, I have my dark, my blacks, almost like 3 varieties of this. I have different blue, I have a green, I have that ochre, and this brown. And if I need it, I can use the brown from the tube to darken it. If you was following me, you probably premix the same. If you're still mixing it, it's okay, take your time. I will slowly just reset camera right now for the comfortable view. You just please continue mix the colors. And when I will do that, I will show you what kind of brushes we will be using. Okay. I'm not going to use any special brushes today. Pretty much the old brushes we will be using today is the same. Our fur brush. You have a good light, you can see that good. Make it closer. I will focus on the iris right now, so I will do it a little bit more. Okay, like that. So you can see, and if we need it, I will pull it back. So right now we're going to be working on details in the eye. I want you to see more. Okay, and as you see it, I have my palette right in front of me, just like that. All right. Let's talk about the brushes. I have this fan brush. Same thing what we was using last time. I have a square synthetic brush, about the size. You can see it's not very, I have tiny hands, so it's pretty small size. It's size almost like 8, 10. I have a round brush, 2 different companies, the same idea. I have those 2. You can have 1. It's enough. I have 2 different sizes and shapes, 3 for the fur. This is a little bit smaller, this is slightly bigger. You can see I wear them a lot. Flat on the side, like this. I have also a detail brush. Why I need detail brush? We'll be using a lot of tiny details trying to express this line. And this is smaller brush, but this is probably too big. This is for our detail. They are small. Now we will be talking a little bit about glazing. That's what we start with. Pull it away and pull it back when it's needed so you can see that better. What I will do right now, I use a liquid and apply it a little bit on a palette. shake it very well before you do that. It's look like a gel piece of. It's very comfortable. If you don't have it, please buy it. It's in every store you can find it. It's very easy to find. Michael's have it, and any kind of store, art store have it. They have it sometimes different company on the tube. I have Winsor and Newton. It's traditional. They also sometimes have it in a more liquid condition, which is also fine. So please get something. If you cannot have it today, what you can use also is just to try idea of glazing. You can use just oil. But if you use oil for glazing, you cannot paint on top of it because it will be raw and open. It's kind of like open medium on porcelain. But if you use liquid is awesome, absolutely convenient medium to work because it's dry right away almost, and it's helped to dry oil very quick. Usually before, when I'm painting my paintings, I use same technique like I show you in the very first class, heavy stroke, very overloaded brush with paint and a lot of formation and a shape and pretty thick delivery. After that, I'm using this technique with called glazing, and we will try and I show you how to do it right now. And after that, I do it again, what we did on the first day, and I do glazing again. Glazing technique, and I did it again. So I'm layering two different ways of working over and over again and develop more and more fine details. So what I'm doing right now, I have this and I use a big brush, just like that. And I load the brush with liquid. And you can, I need to make sure it's like full conditioned. It's very comfortable, smooth stroke. Now, what I will be doing, I have this iris right now in front of me and all this main part. I want to make sure the colors where they dark, I want them to be dark, and the colors where I have too much strokes going on here, I won't just blend them smoothly together. I will be using first right now lighter version of it. So what I will do, I use this, what I have on my brush, and pick it up some of this color. You see, you load it from two sides. And now this is very important. Please look, when I apply it, you see how transparent it is compared to the first day when I asked you, please load the brush, please put more paint. This is very, very transparent. And if I put it on the side on the canvas, you can see it's not strong pigment. It's not, don't have a full coverage. And what I will do, I just apply it over. I am avoiding the highlights. And I apply it over whole iris. I don't get closer to the pupil because I have a green color over there. And if you painting it with me or in the recording, you will see how deeper colors all of a sudden appear, how bright and saturated they become. And that's good base. It's not supposed to be, it shouldn't very, very, the brush stroke, it's oily, but not running. So I don't have any liquid run. So I use only this much, and the distance from the pupil here, I leave it alone. Now I wash my brush very good from that pigment. And you can see it's shiny as well. When you do work with liquid, it's help you to understand how the final painting will look like, because your black and your darkest pigment will be very strong. Liquid make it darker. Now I will work around here. What I will do, I use the same thing. I wash my brush right now, very good. I load it with plenty of liquid right now. I have full of this. on my brush, and now I'm going and use this color. Also very, very transparent. Double check, I'm holding it very, very good. You can see here, let me check it on a paper. I mean on a canvas, it's very transparent, exactly how I want. And now I'm going around the pupil. Also avoiding the highlights. And blend it with what I have before. I wash my brush again. Now I use liquid again, load it with liquid, and now I use my dark black, what I pre-mixed. I'm using this. You see it's have a little bit of purple shading in there. And I will go over and above, very transparent. Again, I double check. I don't want to have a heavy load. You see it's transparent. And now I'm working right under here, on the eyelash line. Okay, see that better now. You see how darker is developed. Now don't worry about fur up and above right now, because I will apply fur on top of it. So now my darks really up, and I'm working right here, same, and going over the pupil. And you see right now, right away, it's become more realistic, more depth. Going to the left side here. Same liquid, I'm avoiding the area where I have blue. Going under the eyelash line. And now I pick up a little bit more of this black, which have more blue in there, right here. Still liquid, not thick. You can see when I'm going over the white strokes, it's transparent. As you can see, it's become gray. I'm going to the corner. Now I'm using this color, which was black with blue. I pick up plenty of liquid again. And I'm going here. Pretty much like in porcelain, I'm loading it from both sides, brush, and check if it's okay, well spread. Happy with that. And now I'm going to the corner of the eye, which have plenty of dark from the previous work, but this dark now shown better. I can see that deep value. Before it was after drying, it's become almost gray. To make a fur shown, we need to have a darker fur below down, so that's why I do not shy and make plenty of this color right above here. And when liquid will dry, it will give me a sticky, very nice sticky surface for next stroke. It will help us. All right, so I have my layer of glazing, just like that. Now, since you see how it's all done, I want to share with you one important rules with glazing. When you're glazing, please use the colors or darker value on top of another colors, on top of any kind of colors. But if you have let's say if you have a darker value here, this middle value, and I will be using glazing with white, I will have plenty of stripes. I don't want that to happen. So the rule sounds like that. If I have anything light, like in a highlight, and I want to glaze and I want to change the shading, let's say I want to change the shading from bluish to the purplish, which I apply thin layer of pink involved white plus red, then I have to use light glazing with white paint on top of the light area. If I will put lighter glazing here, it will be not pretty at all. I have it here right now in the highlights. What I will be doing, I have my liquid loaded on a brush, and I will pick up some of this purple plus white. That's what I'm doing. See, it's very, very thin as well. I double check, I apply a line next to it, and you see it's very transparent, almost invisible on a gray paper. And now I am working over highlight. What I'm doing at, you can see that, okay, perfect example what not to do. You see in this area here, I have eyelashes was done with darker color. And when I apply this light, I'll move it closer, you see stroke way too much. See, you see this roughness here, that lights start to show, you want to avoid it. But I like that eyelashes become lighter because it's giving me nice depth and reflection. So I will continue working there. My highlights before was with plenty of blue and white, and it was kind of patchy, a little bit of the blue in one area, a little bit white in another area. And by glazing, I'm kind of blending it all together and make it soft and smoother. And I have a little bit here, a little bit here as well. The interesting fact about glazing and work like this, you can see more details but less stroke, so it's look very eventually work look very, very realistic with not much of the effort. Now I push it back and you can see this result. I love glazing. I personally found this very old traditional school instrument very practical. Okay, now I see too much of this white, what I'm not happy with. I'm using a dry brush and I want to pick it up a little bit. I don't want that contrast. I don't want that white line seen on top of the dark color. And I pick it up, brush dry, don't have any medium on that, just pick it up. What glazing do for you? It's allowed you to blend. You see, I blend here green plus this ochre color without seeing any connections. So if you painting your work and you know already, like for just habits of your way of how you paint it, it's hard for you to blend colors, then glazing will be just best friend because you will be able to blend many different colors. Just making a little bit more, one layer of glazing, another layer of glazing, and this way your previous strokes, what you was doing, will be still seen partially, but it will be much more, I don't know, smooth and delicate, and colors and depth will be a little bit more interesting. All right. Now, if I touch this, it's pretty wet. And it's okay, that's how it should be. If it becomes sticky in about 30 minutes, and I can continue work on top of this layer easily, and that fact that this painting and that texture is so sticky, it's helped to for next layer of paint to lay easy and also get to the surface very fast. So right now, because I have pretty much everywhere here plenty of liquid, I just start to develop my next layer, and I will be combining first type of painting when I really load my brush heavily, and I will be combining with a little bit glazing here and there, and you will see. So you can see the combination. If your painting is big, you always can work with both techniques. We will be working from the middle to the sides, from here to the side, and I will work first from the pupil. I want to make it contrast and dark. I'm using this brush, something small. I use no liquid on a brush anymore. And I pick up this black blue, loading it very good. If you see this, I don't dip the paint right in the middle. You're porcelain artists, you're familiar with that, you're very neat painters. So you just apply a little bit on the side. And now I'm looking very closely to my image and try to recreate shape of the pupil. And you will see right away it's become much, much darker. It's exactly what we want. Sometimes after first work, I'm not happy and I do some corrections with placement. Maybe people a little bit need to be moved left or right, or shape need to be corrected. That's the time to think about it. So before I start next layer of work, I usually step away from the painting on a distance. I also have my image or my reference photo blow up big on a screen of computer, and I step away about 5 feet and I sitting and looking for a while. And sometimes I'm doing it several days in a row. I just do not do any work. I'm just stepping away and look from the distance and try to find what's the difference, where I make my mistakes or what was wrong without actually doing anything. It helps because one day you will see one thing, another day sometimes you will see another thing. And eventually when you start to work, it's become much, much easier for you and easy to understand. Another thing, you probably noticed it a long time ago, but I will mention it anyway. To express our darkest dark, we will be using several blacks. And if you're talking about which black is darker, coldest black is always darker appear in the image. So if I want inside of this eye to bring out certain shapes and a depth and a deepness of the color, instead of this brown black, I will be using a black which involved more purple and different type of dark blue, which I'm doing right now. I was using it for pupil, and I see I need the correct shape of the iris. It's kind of disappeared in all this darkness what I had before. And I need to bring it back. I need to find where actually iris end and separate it from the shadow and dark part of the iris and the texture of the eye. And if I hope you see that. This has become very, very dark right now, this line. You can see that. Yes, you can see that. You can observe it. And that's important. Sometimes in the beginning, your eye might do not separate very clear from what is dark black brown and what is dark black blue. But more you're working with that, better consistency. Pretty much finding shape where iris meet the skin And I stop right here because from this area, it will be already black-brown. And also, if you're looking on the pictures very carefully, you will see we have here the skin going up. So I need to make that noticeable and separate that skin from the eye, and I create one more line. Should be seen. On the picture, it's very, very clear. You see it very, very good. And here we have a little bit of a highlight happen. So I'm using black blue right here, until right here. And little line like this here to separate skin curve, right, like this. Also darkest dark in a teardrop corner. Continue working with the same color. Do not change anything. Deepen it. Try to repeat the shape. As close as I can. Maybe before you didn't see that black blue, now you definitely can see that separation and a difference. That was black brown and that's black. And look right away, we have deep shadow, clear shape of the iris. And let's look more and let's find out where else we have this darkest cold black. And I would say it exists right here and under eyelash without changing the color. I'm thinking where else this color appear. And that's very good way to think when you're painting something, instead of paint one area and be particular and working square by square, half of the inch develop something. You better look on whole image and think, to develop the value, I'm looking for my darkest dark, where else that color exists, where else I need to apply. And if you think like that, then more likely you will bring shape, final shape, final value. And if you start to work in just millimeters by millimeters or inches by inches or small sizes, you can get really, really lost very quick. And it's a little bit harder for you. That's why artists working on an easel, and sometimes we working and by standing up, it's also help to absorb everything together without really get stuck to the little area, to the small area. But when on porcelain, when we're painting on porcelain, we're doing opposite. We have to work in a little area and focus on the little area plenty. So now I'm thinking this eyeball area, this is iris, this is eyeball, and this is the skin and the thickness of the skin, and you can see highlight inside and out. And this is also darkest. If you look in a picture, you will see this darker color here, it's more on the brown side, and this is more on a gray, on a blue-black side. So I continue working the same color. Focus on observation is everything. And if you love what you're doing, it will be fun for you to do that. Okay, coming back here, I have a light line here and I have this skin, again, dark here. A little bit closer. Back. All right. Now we have it a little bit better and a little bit closer where we need to be. To bring this to more quality for you to see, next step I will bring the blue here. So this blue will help us to see, if you look at an image original right now, you will see we have plenty of blue, the area where the iris meet the eyeball, which is here to here, and we have a good wet area here. That's what I want to do right now. It will help you to see in the camera much better separation between my brown ones and a brown black and this black. What color I will be using? I will be working with those two and this in the bottom. Use the same brush, detail brush. And now I'm working and applying pretty thick. I have plenty of paint on my brush. I'm correcting the shape. The area what I paint right now, it's highlight. And the eyelashes will meet over there, so I can blend those highlights together a little bit. The color I'm using is the darkest blue-gray. Continue moving down. A lot of times the big mistakes when artists paint, they try to make those little details same size like on the pictures, but they totally forget they double size or triple size and when they're painting, and that ruin in fact the painting and not in a good direction. So if you're looking at the thickness of the slide, don't try to do exactly what you see on your reference photo. If your reference is small and your painting is bigger, keep in your mind and remind yourself constantly over and over again, you need to increase the size of each shape. I make it a little bit darker. And this is the area where these lines meet my dark black blue with this blue, with light blue. Now we have better understanding. Now, when you have a separation clearly, seeing better, now I move to this area and I can see it will be almost the same color, but a little bit more with the light purple, just to make this highlight stand out. That's why I am right now. Shape the same, because here we have cast shadow from eyelashes. And I continue developing this separation between the skin of the bottom lid, and I break it down a little bit because it's the wet area. If I have break this lines way, it's look more realistic. And I will, in the very end of it, I make it a little bit brighter. Small light can catch up there. See that? Mm-hmm. And because I know that this area, we have eyelashes here. I don't know if you see that on the picture, but we have a darker background here and the top lid on the eyelashes going all the way across. So all this area is pretty dark. I will maintain and keep it dark, but here, from here to here, we still see a little bit of light reaching over. That's what I will do right now and express it a little bit more light. I'm using brown color mix it with blue a little bit to make it lighter, to make it seen. And also here. If you look on the picture, you will see right now, you will have here this blue light, and we have a little bit dark area. It's usually the eyeball vessels. It's like sometimes girls they have a white area, sometimes like a dog. Sometimes they have that area darker. So I use I mixed the brown black right now with brown. And make this separation stronger. Now I have iris, darker line. We have a blue, we have a dark, and here we have a little bit of the highlights, reflection. I think it's a reflection from the fur. I will be using black brown plus little bit of this middle value blue right here. And a little bit brighter just for realistic effect of it. Same thing here. And it's actually very nice to work on top of the glazing surface because you can move the paint, like kind of like you move on porcelain. The glazing allowed you to do that. You blending it right on the canvas. And it goes so comfortable with the brush, very smooth and easy without any other medium involved. All right, when I have done this, I did it on purpose so you can see better separation where your iris separate from the eyeball and separate from the skin here. So now we have better understanding of that. Now we're coming back to the middle, start to work from the middle to the side. If you look over here, you can see you have plenty of reflections of something in the eye, almost look like a net. I have here dark brown, black now, and I will be adding a little bit more green right here. I'm talking about this type of greens and gray to color together. Let's see, gray. Yes. Why I don't use a brown? Because if I will use a brown, I pretty much have a big chance to blend it with the color of the pupil, which I do not want that to happen. I want when this color meet the pupil, it still will be separation in the color. And the value as well. Value separation is not very strong, but color need to be seen as a different color because it's part of the already what I painted right now is part of the iris. It's not a pupil. And those type of things matter. Sometimes artists use the same black color to work all around the pupil because on the reference photo it seems to be like it's dark. I never recommend you to do that if you're going for the realistic observation, for the realistic delivery of the work. I avoid this highlight I have, and now I will bring all these beautiful lines coming from inside out and make them more pronounced and defined using the same green. I have a little bit of brown and go closer here with this. Maybe from far away distance you do not see it's green, but trust me, it's a green. I will do when a class will be over, I make a picture and I post it for us in our chat so you can see closer. This is green. This is not brown black. Continue working here. Now when I have my first layer done, I can see that highlight going here more and have that separation here. So I'm using another green, already a little bit lighter, to go up here. Now, if before I was using for the shadow, I was using this darker green with gray. Now I am moving to this green, moving away further from the pupil. I'm using lighter green. I now want to make one circle around the pupil with this color. To make iris stand out. So only one reason why I'm doing that. Because that color will, I paint very, very thin right now, not too much of the paint on my brush. And my glazing is still sticky. I just always testing it sometimes. It helps me to understand how much paint I can use. And I'm working around. Remember, on the first class, I told you we go in directions, straight lines away. From the pupil, all directions, I continue, use the same idea. And in some areas, I go a little bit darker. Some area a little bit lighter, and it will create better depth and deepness. If you look at the picture, you also will see about here somewhere, you have meeting that color plus this color, but also you have plenty of texture. So what I will do, I will just get this idea of that texture shown here and there, and I will maintain that around slightly flat diameter of this circle. By creating this, I start to have in this light from previous color, last layer showing through, and that's pretty good. Now I'm using a little bit of more of the liquid to blend with color from the previous layer. So I don't drop the ends just like that. I want them to connect it softly. If you look on the picture, that green doesn't seem to be as bright green. But when I paint, I noticed many times color of the eye of the animal. It expresses his age. And depends what kind of animal it is. The younger they are, sometimes they have more green blue in them. The older they are, they have more honey brown color in them. Sometimes it depends where the animal come from, what area. So by playing with the color of the eye, I age in my wildlife animal, wild cat or tiger. I age him or make him younger. And if I would like to, if I will put this all together and paint a big tiger, I will be thinking, they like to express him and make him older and rough and add some scars on the face. Or I want him to look fresh and nice fur, fluffy. Then I will go with more gray, blue, green in the middle. All right, now we will continue working around here. And if you look on the reference, you will see plenty of these texture lines going from the pupil, and it's have a brown color. That's where I'm going right now. I'm using my black brown plus just raw umber on a brush, using the same brush, same thing. And you turn it sideways and going from inside out. Using this green as background. And make sure when you're doing that, some lines will be shorter and some ones will be longer. That also will give you a better realistic look in the final destination. Some of them will be thicker, those lines, and some will be thinner. None of them alike. I paint wet on wet, but because I have a liquid below under this layer, a liquid helped me so much, because even I apply green on top of the liquid, some of the green already get a little bit more dry. It's perfect. It's helped to work, helping very, very much to work. Now, because we are working through the camera, I want to make a little bit this mark a little bit stronger, so you can see the beauty of it and the importance of that. I want to make them pronounced a little bit stronger for you, because I look on the camera, I can see they're not seeing enough. Just want you to see them good. We will wash them out a little bit, but do not lose that idea of where they are. Now, I'm working from the center stores away from the sides. And when I look around, I can see I have so many different things going on here. I have a lot of texture happening here. And even some green managed to sneak further away within a texture. Like right here, I see some green. See some area. And if you notice it, I always working from the center to the sides. I see a little bit here, also some green. So I have visibly noticeable from the green area, I have this green ochre area, almost ochre, and I have the brown, black, brown sienna towards the center, towards the sides. That's what we will be focusing on right now. I will be working from dark to light because my middle light, I'm pretty happy with value, but I can see the sides of the iris is way too light. I will be using these colors. Let me show you. I will be using this brown. I will be using this black brown and probably the brown and little bit of this as well, just rosy yellow area. Okay, I want it to be darker, but most important and most beautiful part of the iris is the texture. To observe the texture and see texture, it will give you nice, beautiful final destination. So instead of just lining up all together, I know how far it is. I just focus on the spots where they are and what kind of shape they are. And who paint with me in a porcelain, you know I always do in the one line and kind of curve it like this to separate it. It's also help, but usually on a porcelain painting, it's so small. It's so hard to do what I will do right now on porcelain because the size of the porcelain painting. But if you do canvas work, you can just enjoy the process of finding this beautiful texture of the eye. So when I go to the center down here, I use a lighter color, and here I was using much more of the black brown, right here especially. That's more black brown. And this line, what I have here, let's see. You can see that good. You can see here that black brown line and this brown. That's better. And I do not use any blue brown, only black brown. And sometimes just throw umber itself to express this texture shading in a corner. Going towards the center, I'm using lighter brown with black brown. Also going all the way, do not shy. I'm covering good amount of connection with my black blue in the bottom. It's give us better depth. I do not apply any stroke coming out of my head, out of my mind. I'm very precisely watching the image. Okay, and when I look here, I can see, and it's actually naturally, here we have a little bit of cold, and here we have a little bit warmer and darker again. So I will skip this area right now because I use this dark browns. I will come back and go in this area where I have more of this area covered with black brown. And more texture seen in a darker value. And when I move down here, if you see this on the image as well, we have a little bit of shading of gray. I think it's reflection. And you can see the big difference between colors here. It's more on a warm, and here it's more on a cooler. Even dark here, we have dark here, but it's still more on the cooler areas, on a cool color. So what I will be using, I will add a little bit more here, the line. I will use a little bit more of the gray blue with bit brown. So pretty much the same colors what I was using before. For that area, just adding blue. And if you see that here, we have also very dark contrast line. And in this case, I will be using brown and black plus blue color. And the blending with blue should be very soft, not a rough, separate line like a zebra, very soft connections, very soft blending with blue. And now same thing, that black or dark line I created, I blended in with texture of the eye. So I don't want to have any strong contrast over there. With no blending, what I have done right now, I show you more texture. I separated more each part, what I observe where the green ends, where the ochre meet, where the darkness connected. Now, best part is to wash your brush, add a little bit of liquid, because all these rough lines, what we have, I will be using a little bit of liquid. And for this area, I will be using a little bit more of this, this brown family colors. I have liquid, those browns on my brush, and now I will be softening them together so they don't look as in such a contrast as it was. You see, pretty rough, very strong. You can see that very, very good. Maybe on a camera it doesn't look it's very pronounced, but I can see it's pretty strong. Now I want them, those spots look less rough seen, because it's nothing nothing to well, nothing is well seen inside of the iris when you look at the iris, even under micro photography. You will see beautiful connections. But those connections are soft. And the liquid here is your friend when you can play with slight value where one a dark line ends and another light lines begin. Another way to do that, if you don't have a time, you can leave this roughness for one day to dry and next day come. And with liquid, just use a separate layer to do what I'm doing in one layer right now. That's also okay. Or maybe you get tired of seeing details for too long and focus on details too long. You approach those details, you define them, you make them seen. You step back, you think, yes, they exist over there, it's pretty nice. Take a break, let your eyes rest, come back and do separate layer with glazing and connecting the dots like I'm doing right now in one touch. That's also okay. But I really like when paint can move because I have plenty of liquid below down. I found it very, very convenient to connect and move this paint to the dark lines I found. And when I look in the picture, I also can see something happening here. Many different texture directions happening right in this close to you, close to the viewer area, and it's all middle value. And I want to make this scene. And when you mix here, because you have a little bit of gray happening here in reflection, when you mix this gray with this turquoise, with these colors, you will have a little bit of this gray shading. You don't have to work too hard to deliver that. It just happens naturally when you blend this color, and it gives you nice extra depth. The eye. All right, let's see. That's what we have now. And it's about time to make highlights stronger. I would leave it alone for a little bit, let it settle. And I'm gonna bring the highlights. When I'm looking over here, I glaze those to blend the previous layer. And now I wanna make it pronounced. I want to have it strong contrast. I like it brighter. I will be using white plus this, I'll show you. I will be using white plus this color. But when I apply it, it seems to be like it's just white, but it's not. When I paint an eye inside, I prefer do not leave any texture of the paint. It will help to observe this shyness and a wetness of the iris itself. But when I paint fur, sometimes I leave a little bit more of the texture of the white paint on purpose, because when the light from gallery hits those areas, it gives you extra depth and it just looks nice. But for the pupil, I mean, for the eye itself, I would like to have it strong as possible blending. Now the pretty part of the highlight. I use, again, same colors what I was using here. It's white plus purple. Moving closer to the corner right now. This area right here, I have it from the previous first layer. So I think we can add one more layer. I use brown plus black. My brown black plus a little bit of brown. And want to connect that with this black blue better. So let me see the stripe. See the stripe, it's not good. Connected. All right, it's better. Now if I look in the corner, I can see slight highlight over there. I continue using the same thing, purple blue, to get this area. And I also see a little bit of the skin. And when I have this brown wet, my colors blending right now. I'm giving it a little bit more texture. Texture is good. We need to have a bit, not much of it, just a little bit. All right, now I'm moving right here. I have already plenty of black, brown. And what I will do right now, I use the same thing. I will use here on the sides a little bit more of the blue, and we come back to this area, to the skin area, and a little bit more of the highlights, purple plus blue, plus white. That mix what I have plus white. I try to place it as close as I see where this highlight shows strong. The stronger contrast in this area is give you more lifelike image, but you shouldn't overload it and make it too big either. It will take too much attention. You don't want that to happen. Now a little bit more here. Now you see my colors is already darker, so it's more on a blue purple, and my purple is darker here, and my blue is darker here, so this colors is going much darker. And now I can create the separation. A lot of times when you paint an eye, it's hard to separate what I'm doing right now, where the skin end, where the highlights laying, and where you have that thickness of the bottom lid. It's come to you with time, because sometimes from one picture it's not very clear. In one image it will be placed one angle, and another image is will be placed different angle. In my situation with our picture, what we have right now, this highlight represent thickness of the bottom lid. This represents side of the bottom lid. So to be a little bit more clear, I will do some shading here so you can see that better. So here we have that darker area. It's not clear from previous, but here we have a darker. This is the slightly darker area before white fur start to see. Just want you to have that understanding in your mind, what is what I'm painting. So this is where we have that, where the fur start. And here we have our lighter fur in this area. Many times depends on the angle of the cat you're painting, or the tiger. Sometimes you do not see this thickness, this area. What I did dark right now, many times you do not see that, because this picture was made slightly from the top angle. You see the thickness of it. If you do makeup for yourself, like a lot of times women do applying pencil inside and out as well. So many times this line, you do not see that line. You see it just like black straight line. In our case, because we see that tiger slightly from the top angle, you see much more of this black line and much more of this bottom lid and much more of this details. It do not happen if you have a profile of animal looking straight at you. This line, instead of that complicated reflections of light, what we have right now, just will be just one plain line, which make your painting much easier to work with. Here we have a little bit more complicated situation. I do not afraid of color in my paintings. I think color will usually bring a lot of beautiful effects. And if you see, you look at the painting, you think that it's maybe way too bright, that blue in the bottom. I think not, because when I have, if I would paint that target an environment of, let's say, blue element around, then this all will be connected. And if I will do a fur here with a lot of reflections, this all will make sense. But if you on a mood to get it less pronounced, you can opposite, you can just do less saturation as I do. I did a little bit more saturation in the eye than you see that in the original image, for the purpose for you to see it at once, and for the purpose for you to learn how you can change the image by knowing how the anatomy work anyway. But colors, this is something very personal. You can take or add. All right, so we did a bit of this. I'm not gonna go much further down here for now. I wanna come back here because we almost out of time. I don't wanna keep you long here. What we have in this area, we didn't work at all for now. But if you look on the image, you will see something very important. I will bring the camera closer right now so you can see that area. We have from here, and if you look on the reference, you will see that. Please find an image, this line, what I try to create. I use black blue right now. Black blue, pretty strong statement I apply right now. Pretty heavy and pretty dark. What is this? This line represent eyelash turn. So we have this is white stripe fur, but we have an eyelash fur coming down here. And this is the area from this perspective for the turn on the eye where the eyelashes cannot lay down is the thickness of the skin over there. It's actually going all the way down here. If you look close to the image. Let me show you this area. And if you look on our image, you will see, I will show the directions right now for you. All these lines of the eyelashes, they going down here. This is our darkest dark. And I am purposely doing a little bit more strokes so you can see what directions I'm applying. Angle this way, this sideways. Sideways like that. All the way down here. I understand it's like a dark black blue on top of the brown black from the previous first layer. And you maybe do not see it, and that's totally fine. I want you just to be aware of that existence, because that guidance just will help you what we need to do for next step. And the next step, what I'm doing, I'm using my fur brush, and I use a liquid. I pick up some of this liquid on a brush, and I do exactly the same thing, but for the brush stroke. I'm overloading this brush with liquid right now. And I'm helping myself to get the guidance and directions again. And stretch some of this black, what I have, it's almost invisible, but this black blue, what I have, when I apply this stroke, I'm stretching it away. And I'm really looking at the reference, so make sure I have a right angle. And I use wet black blue, what I have, and that blue, what is still wet, and I'm stretching it. So pretty much I do not paint anything. I'm just stretching what I have as wet area to make that look like eyelash. And now, next step, when I was happy with that area, I open the brush slightly and I apply this color. Let me show you the color I'm using. I'm using this color. And now I want this area to be seen better, but that angle, what I try to show you. And I'm focusing that angle to bring acknowledgement of that separation. You see? And then when we have this, then I have a clear picture of that cast shadow from the stop eyelashes. Still wet. I'm happy I have plenty of liquid right now. Now I will come back here where I have this eyelashes reflection. I use a brown, black, plenty of liquid on my brush. I open the brush very wide. And I am working on the reflection. And you know what happened? Now my liquid on this area is dry. Not good. I just pick up separate brush. Give me a second, please. Can you see it? Okay, try to fix it. Okay. Now I pick up separate brush and apply liquid here because it's a little bit too dry. I want it to go smoother. And use this and create brown black eyelash reflection in the eye. It's not the top eyelashes, it's a reflection. And I use sometimes side of the brush, just like that. In some areas I go stronger. Can you see that? Now when this part is done, reflection is done, now I use again same brush, plain silk liquid on it. And now I pick up my blue color. A bit more. And I will use side of the brush to get my long eyelashes going above the area. They are long, slight different angle. And this black background, what I have, it's perfect in this moment. It helps so much to develop depth. Oh, that was way too hot, too thick. See, I'll make it softer. When I do that long eyelashes going over the eye, I told you before, and please continue exercise this. When you're working with this such a stroke like that, change the angle. Change the angle. And now I have a little bit of the highlights from white fur. We're not going to do much of the fur, but I give you right now idea from the white stripe coming from above. I also have a little bit of this white fur, which is new, do not eyelashes. It's just already a fur from the white stripe above. See this? Too close to the camera, is too close right now. I want you to see better, but my brush do not fit here. So I have to do that to soften it. What is not finished yet here? Depth of that skin. So that's what I will do a little bit more. I want to have it a little bit darker here. Little bit darker. And what I would do, probably most likely for the next layer, is just do one more glazing in this area. to make sure all the brush stroke I create as texture will be less pronounced, less defined. Couple more highlights missing. When I have liquid under here, I can also, and if I paint this layer thin, I can also touch test it if it's wet or dry. Like I have sticky, which just mean I can do one more layer of glazing. I will try right now. I'm taking a chance. Honestly, I will tell you, but I want to show you what can come out of it. If you worry about it, you can just wait for next layer, but I will not. On the camera, it's maybe not seen very good and noticeable, but for me, it's huge difference of blending, huge. It's much softer. Everything what I see right now. I'm using glazing on a brush, and the way I have plenty of liquid on a brush. When this will be dry, I would probably add a little bit more reflection eyelashes on the eyeball. It's a little bit too wet right now. This way, the side lines a little bit more raised up here. That can be done separate day. And when you start when I will start the class with you, when we will be working on a fur, I also will start from this painting. When I will show you how to apply fur all around here and how to make these details. We're already right now online for so many times. I just don't want to keep you too long. One more time, please look closer where we are. I will be very happy to see your result when you finish it and show me how this all turned out for you. More details can be added, like probably on separate day, I will do a little bit more details because I can see more reflections, kind of like a net over there or something. I would break it down and do something else with these highlights to make it a little bit more seen as something was in front of this cat, in front of this tiger. But when you have such a small image and you paint smaller, such a details not going to be seen. Most important when you're painting in the future, remember think like this, that all the steps will help you. And don't forget that tiger have eyelashes black over, but they're not white. Many times on a photography, if the reference is small, you do not see it. And when you have dark eyelashes going over the tiger eye, they dark first. after they reflecting the light from whatever happened around that, and only after that you have a white stripe fur from the white stripe. A lot of times people think then this white stripe fur, it is eyelashes, but it's actually not. It's two separate things. This is white fur coming from the stripe and the long, pretty long eyelashes of this animal just itself. He has very beautiful eyelashes. All right, that's it for today, my dear friends. I hope to see you next time. And I will be happy to see your artwork coming up. Right now, I will stop recording and we'll be happy to hear your questions.